Welcome to Mechs on Deck. We are back with our Tuesday episode. Oh, episode 30.
30-30.
Dirty 30. It's an exciting number. You know, it's been a crazy year.
Busy year.
Busy year.
Busy month. December's here though.
Yeah.
We're here. It's December. Thank you guys again for the 24-hour stream. You can check all the content, upload it all on YouTube. You can watch us progressively get more and more tired. But yeah, thank you for all the support for the 24-hour stream. It was a huge success. We had a lot of fun doing it. Probably won't do it for a little bit.
Yeah,
just
not.
a few, just a few weeks. But definitely, I really appreciate the support. And then big shout out to our sponsors, Zap Cables. They provided cables for the 24-hour stream. He does DIY kits. He does awesome desk mats. He does cable runs where you can have him build you the best cable that you've ever had, because it's the best cables that I've ever had. And so be sure to check out Zap Cables. We've got switchmod.net/mechsondeck for 4% off your lube needs. He's just got a lot of lube. I think he got 3203 restocked recently.
Yep.
So he's doing a lot of stuff. I don't know what set I don't know if he's running a set in December.
I think he is waiting it out.
We'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
In just a few. And last but not least, mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. Dixie will actually be on our show tomorrow, and you can check out GMK Dual Shot on the 4th, which is Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. No, that's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
While we are live.
While we're live, yes. So you'll be able to start.
Technically tomorrow.
Technically tomorrow, yes. But it will be out. GMK Dual Shot, a very awesome, very simple set. Very reminiscent. And yeah, so
yeah.
Once again, thank you for the 24-hour stream. It was so much fun.
Yeah. We had a really good time. It was a good time. Today we are talking about something that has been very interesting. I think we've kind of had a lot of foreshadowing of what has happened in the last couple of weeks. I know specifically we had talked about it throughout April and into months like
August was the big second wave.
Yeah.
That kind of was also like the...
So
what's the term? The straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. GMK keycap sets specifically have exploded this year. There's no doubt there's been an insane number. We went from running maybe 2 or 3 a month to 6, 7, 15. The question really is now, with what has happened this past month, the past 6 weeks really, has the bubble popped? Has the keycap bubble popped?
Stick around and find out. So what's happening? And why we call it a bubble? It's kind of not marketing, but a financial term of when things are just kind of too good to be true, or too good to last, and it's called a bubble because bubbles pop. Because eventually time runs out and the demand is unable to be met. So what's happening is GMK sets are starting to fail or not be nearly as successful as they could be, due to the sheer amount. This is a hobby that a year ago could not handle more than, at the absolute max, 2 sets. And not even just GMK, just 2 sets. GMK... if you ran your set at the same time someone else, you're basically potentially, putting dagger in your heart already. So we're seeing these sets fail or be having to be bought out, just because they're running at the same time as other sets. And so we talked about, like Osiris said in August, about can the community support this many sets this many times? And back then it was only 8, which right now, if only 8 ran, I don't think many that'd be like, oh, it's kind of a slow month. Like December's looking to be a slow month with not as many sets running, which is good for the community because we don't really need 15 sets
Well, to
every single month.
put it in perspective a little bit of the way things are running this year versus last year. Um, I know it's super hype now. It's probably the most hype set of all time at this point. GMK Olivia. GMK Olivia sold more standard base kits, just the white version. This is not including the dark. It sold more standard base kits than it did the entire group buy round 1 in one day.
Yep. It almost doubled it.
It almost doubled it. Yeah.
It almost doubled if you include both base kits, it almost tripled it.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah. So that kind of puts it into perspective of how much the community has grown and how much GMK keycaps have grown. But does that growth mean the support is there for a month like last month where we had 15 sets, 13 GMK sets, I think it was, something like that. But the thing is right. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say 15 is 13, forget about the ones that aren't GMK specifically. 15 sets or 13 sets. Most people in this hobby, there are kind of the 3 tiers. There's some of the guys that are like, I built my tofu and I like my set and I kind of keep my eyes on the hobby. And then there's the people that are like, I'm in the hobby. I watch the streams. I watch the streamers. I keep up with, Top Clack and us and Nathan Kim, and I watch them and I'm in the Discords. And then there are the people that are like, I have to know every single thing that's happening in this hobby. And there are people that are at that third tier that probably couldn't even name you all 13 sets that were out. Yeah. And I know I'm someone who likes to think that I'm in the hobby enough, and I kind of need to be to at least know what I'm talking about, of all the sets that are running and all this and that, whatever. And I can't think of 13 sets that ran last month. I can think of maybe 5, maybe 6, but that's, as someone who's coming into the hobby, that might be extremely overwhelming for someone to be like, yeah, totally, I'm going to be in this hobby. What set's running? And they're like, well, okay, hold on, let me get my list out of all the things. And you're just kind of like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. And so when you look at it, of the sets that ran, there are only 3 that naturally hit MOQ. And technically 4 if you count Cat Eternal, but that's not GMK. But great set, did super well. But if you count if you're only talking about GMK, of the sets that run, only 3 naturally hit MOQ by the end of the initial end date of the group buy, and that was GMK Terra, which hit 290 base kits is kind of where it's at. We haven't have final numbers yet, but that was kind of halfway through the last day. GMK Alter did 536 base kits, and Analog Dreams did 382 base kits, which, just like GMK Terra, that's like a couple days before the end. We don't know the final numbers on those. There are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 sets that are either canceled, had to be bought out, or had to extend.
That's insane. Like, now I get the idea of, hey, we're going to extend 1 week. We're at 210. We're going to extend 1 more week. Give people regardless, if you're a vendor, do whatever you want. If you want to sit there and hold it up there for 9 weeks so that it'll hit MOQ, maybe go for it. Whatever. That's kind of weird, but like, if you're talking about successful group buys, like obviously hitting MOQ is great. If you have to open up for a week, I'd say that's kind of like the B minus of successful group buys. It's like, well, you did it, but you had to have a little extra help without having to buy out sets. We're talking about vendors will buy it so that they're extras because a lot of people, I know people in the hobby that don't buy group buys. They only go after extras because they're like, well, I'd rather not wait. I'm like, that's totally fine. But what happens here is the extras are now very scarce and there's not very many of them. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But with they're not able to buy. If you have a group buy where it sells 1,200 kits, you can buy an extra 200 to sell later for an even higher price and get extras kits made that way. And then there's 200 extras kits. Whereas a set that only sells 200 kits in total or 200 base kits might only be able to buy up to 80.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, well, because naturally, if you think, a set that doesn't sell well initially, a vendor isn't going to take as much of a financial liability in purchasing extras if it didn't sell well initially, because they think, okay, well, this probably isn't going to be a super hot set later. Let's not purchase more. Like, let's not purchase as much as we did for Dracula, a set that sold 3,000, because it's just not going to have as much want there. I think it's also a sliding scale. 3,000 maybe be like, all right, well, I don't know how many people are going to want it after after it releases, how many people have it, but it's definitely an interesting situation. This is the first time that I recall seeing, at least since I've been heavily following key set group buys, where I've seen them extend and see multiple extend to 6-8 weeks. We have some that even started with a 7-week group buy. GMK Ursa started at I think 7 weeks. Started on like the 18th of November and is going into the 6th of January. Which, when you do that, it kind of pushes you back in the timeline a little bit. It might cause delays. You push back. Obviously GMK they have slots that they're filling, so they're expecting orders on certain dates. So it might push things like that back. So these, extensions may not always be possible.
Yeah. And something that extensions can definitely have the negative effect, because we talked to Amir on the 24-hour stream, and he brought up a good point, which is, some people, if you run like a set, let's say you run in the middle of the month and of the next month, some people are still buying, like if you start in the middle of November and in the middle of December, your first 2 weeks might be terrible because people are waiting for December. So while Umbra is not Umbra, Ursa, did I get that right?
Yeah, Ursa.
Ursa. Well, Ursa says, where it's at right now, you might not be able to get a good grasp on how much or if it's going to be successful, because you're like, well, I don't know, maybe a lot of people are going to be getting it in January, who knows, so you are running that risk of super long group buys.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that what this can do is this has an interesting effect on mech market, on the aftermarket pricing. Say we get into a situation like what happened with GMK DMG. Set doesn't do amazing initially, barely hits MOQ, comes out, looks incredible.
Well, it was bought out.
Yeah, it was bought out.
It didn't even hit MOQ. It had to be bought out.
It looks incredible. People love it. People want it. They're paying a lot more for it. We ended up getting a round 2 pretty quick, which was good for that situation. But say that doesn't happen. Prices start to skyrocket. There's so few of them. It can really affect the aftermarket price. And this is something that I was talking about in our Discord earlier. If you think about it, let's take for instance GMK Umbra right now is, as of recording, the last update said that it sold 78 kits. Someone could come in, buy 200 kits, completely control the aftermarket pricing by themselves.
Yep.
100%. And that's a weird thought. It's not something that necessarily has happened before to my knowledge. But with the growth of the community and the way that it's going, I feel like we might start seeing people that have more of a flipper investment mentality. We see it a lot with boards like Keycap, TGR boards, where people may be buying them and flipping them. It's not the most amazing thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world. People are going to do what they want to do, but it's not frustrating, but it's sad to see that maybe some sets might not be able to be attained because someone can control the entire market themselves.
So a big reason that I guess I'm concerned about these smaller running sets is sets like GMK Olivia. The reason that they're so expensive is because there's just so few of them. So, I don't remember the exact number, but let's say 350 sets were sold. If 300 people actually liked it and kept it, that means that there's only like 50 sets floating around on Mech Market around the world, by the way. That's like in total around the world. So some people obviously may have sold it and been like, well, it's not that great to me and I can get $500 for it, so screw it. But that's literally the issue that's happening is, sets like Modern Dolch went up, Serica went up. Those are sets that are going for so much because there's just not that many. The keyboard community, I'm very interested to see sets like Dracula and like Oblivion that are selling thousands and thousands of kits. I'm curious to see where that's going to leave the mech market with those sets, because those are really hype sets, but that also puts in the interesting situation of where do these smaller sets run? These are kind of the lesser known sets that that people like. So GMK Delta was bought out, so there's not going to be a whole lot of sets of those floating around. That's also a very plain, I don't want to say plain set because that seems insulting to the vendor, but it's a very simple set. It's black, it's white, it's kind of teal, aqua blue. People like blue. Blue's a very popular color. That's, to me, a set that's going to skyrocket because people are going to look at it. If that blue comes out really good, people are going to look at it and go, that's amazing. I want that. Where can I get it? Cool. You could have gotten it 6 months ago, but guess what? You can't because there's only like 30 for sale right now.
Yeah.
So,
and I think so with the way that everything happened with sets like Serica, with sets like Olivia, I think what you have also in the aftermarket is a trickle-down effect to where sets that weren't necessarily selling for as much begin to sell for much more. It brings up almost an artificial value to them. So like take a set like Plum, for instance. It wasn't a super well received set when it initially came out. It was selling under group buy price for a really long time. When everything really went crazy, it started to sell over group buy price. It didn't take long for it to get up to, 140, 150. Some people even selling it for more than that. And I think what will happen is if these sets are hit the aftermarket at these insane prices, because there's not very many of them, it can negatively affect mech market in that way too, where it brings up the price of everything else. There's 3,000 kits of Oblivion V2. There's 3,000 base kits of Dracula. Hopefully those will sell around or a little bit above group buy. If these other sets come in, if a set of GMK Delta is selling for $350 on Mech Market because there's 30, when you go to sell your Dracula, you are going to look at not only Dracula sales, but you might look at GMK sets as a whole, maybe bump it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens. It gets bumped up a little bit, bumped up a little bit, bumped up a little bit. And it's an all around inflation of pricing.
Well, and it only takes 3 sales for it to go up $100. Someone goes, "Oh, someone sold Olivia for $220. I bet I can get $250 out of it." And then the next person's like, $250? That was good. And then it takes one comment, "Hey, that's a good price." Someone goes, "Oh, good price, $250. I bet I can get $280." And then someone's like, "Screw it, let's do $315." And boom, in 3 sales, a $95 price increase.
Yep.
And people go by the most recent sale of it, because you don't want to go, if you're going by a popular sale, GMK Plum might only go for $160, where you might not want to sell it for that much, because we even talked about in our Mech Market episode many months ago, look for the most recent one, because that's going to be what it's about valued at. So excuse me. So what leads us into this is or I guess one more note on this. When it comes to extras, I think I'm really happy to see like something like Metropolis. So Metropolis extras have been up for a while. I just looked. The badges kit is the only thing sold out. If you want Metropolis, Metropolis is exploding all over Reddit right now. It's the hot set because it came out and it started shipping in the US. We started seeing some trickle in from the EU and the rest of the from the EU, but you can go get that. That's an awesome, they said we bought enough so that we could have a lot of extras. And that's an awesome situation to be in, because it's really cool that you can go get it. I was able to get GMK Lime because enough extras were bought. I really appreciate that. I think more vendors should be thinking about, let's buy a lot of extras. And even if we don't sell out, they don't have to sell out in a month. If they'll sell out in 6 months though. So
it's almost like taking not 100%, but more so the originative approach of we're buying it to MOQ. Whenever it sells out, it sells out. Like,
yeah.
That's kind of how they do business over there. And, all of their sets are pretty limited. I don't think that they have an insanely huge overage over MOQ. Know that they probably will keep selling things if it continues to go, but more often than not, you're buying a set that's already been ordered.
Yeah.
And that's why it gets out so quickly.
It's basically a pre-order at that point.
Yeah. But transitioning into, I guess, the question at hand, is the bubble deflating? And if it is deflating, is it in a good way? Is it in a bad way?
So in my notes, this is actually one of the first episodes that Osiris and I kind of co-wrote. The bubble is, to me, the bubble's deflating. It's not popping, but it's definitely, if we're taking this analogy as far as humanly possible, we have punctured many holes in said bubble, and it's deflating. And it's deflating not in a good way, and it's deflating fast. We're seeing group buys. These group buys are struggling. We don't want to see group buys. I love seeing the posts where it's like Olivia hit in 32 milliseconds and Dracula sold 10,000 base kits in 5 minutes. Like, that's awesome. I love seeing those posts. But when there's 1 or 2 sets doing great, that typically means that there's like 6 or 7 sets not doing so great. And that's why this is something that can be a problem when you have these sets and done by great designers, ran by fantastic vendors who are really good at promoting their sets, and you're able to have all that reach. They're going to be successful. But that kind of leads me into my next point I'll let you get into a lot, which is certain vendors are kind of monopolizing the community, especially in the North American region. Certain vendors are starting to monopolize, and they're starting to be able to do whatever they want, and it's making it very difficult for other companies to start competing.
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of is it deflating? I don't think it's popped. I don't think it's popped. And I think that Olivia day one. I think if we have this question last week, it's a hesitant It's a hesitant maybe, right? Before we see day one Olivia round two. After seeing Olivia round two day one, it hasn't popped. It sold almost 900 base kits or 850 base kits in the first like a day and a half. That's insane. I think it is, like you said, deflating. I agree. But I think it's in a good way in the sense of maybe now we have learned a lesson in terms of we can't run 15 sets. We found the max. A single vendor shouldn't run 5, 6, 7 sets in 1 month. It's just not. It's not possible.
Not feasible.
It's not. It's just not feasible for the community to 100% support it. It might happen one day, but right now it won't. I think it's doing. It's not that it's doing a disservice to the community. Excuse me. Partially, I think it might be, in the sense of, I look at what was it? I think 7 sets that struggled last month that are still going. I look at it and I'm like, hey, I like this set, but I don't want to get it right now. I just don't. Like Sparta, for instance, right? Sparta was canceled, which was a great move by the Key Company, in my opinion, because they decided, hey, this set will do much better in a month next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very smart move. I think it's great for the community because what's going to happen is there's going to be so many people later down the line that see these sets, that see Sharkbait, see Ursa, see Umbra, say, man, that set's beautiful. I'd love to have it. And they can't get it. They won't be able to get it maybe ever. That's the thing. Some sets just you don't see on Mech Market very much.
Yeah. I mean, go try and find Modern Dolch. Modern Dolch is one that I literally never see.
Like
after the first 2 months, it kind of popped up everywhere, got really pricey, and then it's just like almost impossible to find.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of older sets that you just don't see. And I think, like you said, getting into what you were talking about vendors, we've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think certain vendors are successful because of the people behind the vendor, because of the fact that they self-represent their brand, their company, not as just a company, but as a member of the community. They're invested in this, not just as a business, but personally. There are people who love keyboards. I'm not saying that other vendors don't love keyboards and their employees don't love keyboards, but I think there's a big difference between what you're able to put forward when there's a personal relationship and there's I know Garrett from Dixie Mech. We know Mike from Novel Keys. We know 159 from Project Keyboard. We know these people. We know what they.
We play video games with Zap.
Yeah, we know who these people are. We understand their passion for the community. When you have almost a faceless corporation, I don't think it means as much to the community. The reason we are where we are is because of people who have built each other up. Everything has been on top of, getting on top of each other's shoulders, bringing the bar higher and higher. It's all building blocks. So when you take away that personal aspect from it, it makes it a little bit more difficult. And I think, like you said, it's making it harder for certain vendors to run group buys. It just plain is, And we've already taken away, there's never going to be the just random dude runs a key set all by himself anymore. That's pretty much already been shot down by GMK. It might happen with a different profile, but with GMK, that's already been kind of shut down. And I think we're going to start seeing where vendors aren't, there's going to be certain vendors that maybe will take months off, definitely, you know, hopefully stay at 1 or 2 key sets a month.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah.
and I think, I mean, just talking to Mike from Novel Keys and Dixie, they're smart. They know they can't do 2 in a month. They're booked through almost quarter 3 of next year. So they're only running 1, because why would you want to continually try? I mean, Novel Keys did it with Dots and what was the other one? Vaporwave.
Mm-hmm.
They did it with 2, and it was good, but let's be honest, it probably would have been more successful if they had run separately, just because you're only having to promote 1. Um, I know Dixie, the last time he took a month off was June. Now he's kind of blown up since then, and I don't foresee. Terra's a little bit polarizing of a set because it's a harsh color. It's, if you don't like green, you're not going to like the set. It's just very in your face green, and whatever, that's, you're going to get that with those sets. A reason people like Olivia, it's black and white with a hint of rose gold or pink. So, you have these vendors know what they're doing. They talk about you. There's a reason that Dixie's releasing a set called Dual Shot that's not this super hype set. It's not this crazy, groundbreaking set. It's a pretty basic set with a cool theme that he thinks will do well, because he doesn't need to compete with Olivia, because he can't compete with Olivia, and he knows that. He's smart. They're
Well, and it's not custom color.
Yeah, it's not custom color, so he knows it's like, okay, my MOQ is going to be super low.
Mm-hmm.
So all I have to do at the end of the day, he could buy Dual Shot. He could just buy 150 sets of Dual Shot and be happy and sell them to 149 of his friends. So, that set's going to do well. And so that's why, but you start getting your Novel Keys, Dixie, Canon Keys is definitely in the mix there. And then you have Input Club and Mass Drop and the Key Company, and Project Keyboards is just kind of now starting, but I think that's a company that will probably, it's kind of like, we'll run this set here, and then we'll run this set here. But he also designs boards, so
Yeah.
it's, he's that's not his only thing, and that's how the Key Company is.
I've talked to 159 from Project Keyboards a little bit about running sets and stuff, and he has like Dixie, like Mike, has a little bit of a tactical approach to the way that he runs a set and where he places them. He obviously knows, okay, I can run here. I can look at what other sets are running here. Right, this set's super hype. Let me put it on this month that's not super saturated yet.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get the hype on this set for this month. And I think that there's a lot of people that do that. Another thing, Dixie doesn't release what set he's running when, like, until like middle of the month before.
Yep.
Like, you don't really know. Like, we don't know what he's running in January. I mean, there's some people that might, but it's not public knowledge yet.
Mm-hmm. If this puts it in perspective, we are sponsored by Dixie. He and I both found out the way everybody else did. This wasn't,
Yeah.
and that's one that is kind of close to his chest because he designed it. So I'm sure, that's very tight knit. But these aren't like, these are just as secrets, just as big of secrets. There are a couple sets that I personally know through, you're scattered out. And I know Cyrus knows a lot of them are kind of scattered through the year, but that's kind of like, if you know the person that designed it, they might have talked to you about it. But other than that, it's not this public knowledge. And he does that because he wants to go, hey, I want everyone to focus on this. Like, I need focus on this. Analog Dreams was a great set, but let's be honest, people knew that was a great set to put right before Olivia.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knew, it's like, who cares what I sell in November? People are only going to talk about Olivia in December. So, and it did well, 382 base, solid run. That's probably going to be a set that I feel like is going to be a huge aftermarket skyrocket, because bright colors are going to start. I think that kind of has that milkshake aspect where a lot of bright colored keyboards, you can match it with these baby blue boards and they'll look amazing. So,
Well, and it's a reputable designer in the fact that I think it's the same designer as Taro. So it's, Terra, that's going to be a set, that, especially as we get further into the Avatar. Is that
yes,
right?
Avatar.
Okay. As the Avatar themes from Rensuya, I think that's a set that people will look back on and want. Some people that maybe don't think about it now, as they get further into the collection, want to purchase Terra. Alter it did great. It did the best of the GMK sets. It did the best last month. Relbit killed it. Marketing was on point with Relbit from Switch Mod. He did a lot for it. Desk mat looks sweet.
He took his time too.
Yeah.
That's one thing where if you're a smaller vendor and you're really wanting to get it done right, follow how Krelba did Alter. He didn't just push it out. It was planned. He took his time. He made sure to put it during a time where, while some people, Terra for me was like the biggest set of the year, November was kind of a mishmash. There wasn't really the hype set. We had Dracula. We had GMK 9009. We had, I don't remember what was in August, 8008.
Yeah.
We have Olivia. November didn't really have that banger. Like, to me, it did because it was Terra. But it didn't have that, like, community-backed, like, this is the set that everybody's going to remember ran in November. And it's kind of Alter. But even then, it's kind of divided. Like, this month is an interesting month because there are so many, and there's not one that's like, I am the one. I mean, at the end of the day, look, Alter only sold a little over 100 sets more than Analog Dreams. So
yeah, it's been it was an interesting month to look at. Obviously, it's still continuing. There's a couple sets that I feel really bad for. There's a couple sets where I look at them and I'm like, man, a year ago, I don't think this would have made it to group buy. I think what we learn now is that we need to maybe get a little bit tighter with which sets we're able to run. Sets might not be picked up because maybe they're just not as strong. It's not anything against the designer. It's not anything against them as a person or their creation. It's just like, hey, this is cool. Some people might like it, but we don't think it's going to do well for the masses. Set I feel for is the Blotsky set, because I think that one kind of got a little bit of the short end of the stick. GMK ASC 2, I think is how you would say it, or ASCII.
who knows?
It sold right now, as of filming this, it sold 308 base kits at an MOQ of 500. And that's kind of, if you look at that, that's a nature of the beast. MOQs are typically 250. He put us to 500 because this year everything's been hitting way over. Everything's been running way past 250. He puts it at 500 to get to a certain price point. He only sells 308. Now, it hasn't ended yet. He hasn't announced his end date, but hopefully it hits. Hopefully these other sets get there. Hopefully, I'd love to see Ursa get there. I know that's still young. I can't really say that I'm holding out a whole lot of hope for Sharkbait and Umbra. They're sitting pretty low. When you need almost 200 kits, it's going to be rough. They might get bought out. Who knows?
Sparta's the one that I feel the worst for.
Yeah.
Great concept. They did a great job on the interest check. Great colors. A lot of great things about that set. The novelties are some of the best novelties that have ever been done, I think. When it comes to a theme and picking the novelties for it, it was excellent. Belly of the Beast.
Yeah, and I have a lot of appreciation for Yugo as a theme as well. I think they're doing some really fun things with that set. It's a tough sell. It was a tough sell already because of the kitting, and it's an even tougher sell in a month of sets not hitting. So hopefully things get there. Hopefully these are available for people. who knows? Maybe Kono's trying to go originative and they're just going to have these on their website for the next year or however long it takes for them to sell out. That'd be cool. I think it'd be awesome. But it's definitely an interesting way to look at it. And it kind of does bring up the question. Last month, 13-ish. I can't remember the final number because GMK High Voltage never went live.
I don't think it ever materialized. And then 2 of them were reruns or flash runs.
Yeah.
But
how many sets are too many?
How many? Because there is one. We can't set a number.
No
one can, because you can't. This is America. You can, or I mean, this is the rest of the world, but in America, if a company wants to show up and go, "Hey, GMK, I've got all the money. Here you go," they can. So, I think the community can continually support 5. And I think the community should continually support 4 to 5, with a max of about 8 if you include, Cat's blowing up. SA doesn't happen anymore. SA is just like so few and far between, and it's so backed up right now. It's hard to do. And EPBT's kind of it's churning its stuff out slowly but surely, and we like to see that. But with GMK sets, to me, in a perfect world 4, but I think 5, because you've got to think, okay, Novel Keys and Dixie are going to be running something. Kono and Canon Keys are going to be running something. It's not like the other 8 vendors are going to sit there and fight over that last spot. But hopefully we can look at this and go, okay, I know that the Kono and Dixie and Novel Keys are going to be running through. So there's all 3 probably for the next year. It'll be a long time before those 3 don't run a set in 1 month.
Yeah.
But I think 5, because you can get those 3. You can get, something kind of basic of the 5 sets that I would want. Something kind of basic. Something, kind of like Olivia. Olivia's a little basic. It's not offending anybody. Something like Analog Dreams that offends people. something that's like kind of crazy. Something with something cool like Alter. Alter has Sub Legends. I think a Sub Legend set's great. And I think just because of 2020, I've been saying this all year, 2020 is the year of reruns. 2 reruns. Or a rerun and a flash sale.
Maybe. I think of it more as like which vendors can run. So I think you'd maybe have 6.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have 6. So you have like Novel Keys, Dixie, Kono. Maybe
Canon Keys. Sorry. I have mail at the door, I believe. So my apologies for the dogs.
Yes. So Novel Keys, Dixie, Kono, Canon Keys. Those are probably all going to run sets every month. Switch Mod will go in and out. Drop will go in and out.
TX keyboards.
Very in and
out, but still, they're there.
Very in and out. Who am I forgetting?
You say Project Keyboards?
Project Keyboard. I think I said it initially, but not on this one. So Project Keyboard, a little bit in and out. So I think you can have the big 3 or big 4-ish. So Canon Keys, Dixie, Kono, Novel Keys. You have those 4, and you have 2 more that are kind of interchangeable between the last vendors. I think 6 would be a good amount. That's a healthy number. Everyone's probably hitting MOQ. There's probably going to be 2 that go over 1,000. The rest might go over 500. There's enough sets. People don't have to worry about, vendors don't have to worry about putting out more money than they need to in order to make sure things hit. People aren't having to cancel things. We're forgetting the key company. Totally forgot about that. That they're going to run something every month.
Or try to. I think with Sparta they may. I'm curious to know if with Sparta they learn like, oh, maybe we kind of dip our toes in different sections.
Yeah, I mean they ran the half month of DMG last month,
Yeah,
and then started Sparta right after, which I think was kind of
it's tough.
it was tough. I think they've learned the not that it's a lesson. They saw the repercussion of starting a set in the middle of the month. You end up having some issues. Right?
Mhm.
Doesn't get purchased enough. Maybe people have already purchased their keyboard allotment for that month. But I think you can have 6, maybe 7 on like banger months. Your like April's, your June, July's, and your October's. I'm just thinking of like month after the quarters, end of the quarter. So
Then like October's another good one because I'm still spending money or not frivolously, but spending money however I want to because I'm not saving for Christmas yet. November is tough because it's a lot of people. That's the other thing to think about with this month of being tough is people are starting to think about, oh, okay, well, my wife and my children and my parents and my in-laws and my friends all think I'm crazy for spending money on keyboards, so I can't buy them keyboard stuff. so but yeah, like we said, there's not really a way to limit it, but it would be nice to pump the brakes.
yeah,
Pump the brakes a smidge, just a smidge, because you want to see sets do well. You want as many sets out there as possible. You don't want to see stuff like GMK Oasis, GMK Sharkbait, or Hammerhead, and GMK Sparta where they're not hitting. And then you wind up happening with GMK DMG where it gets bought out or something, and then people are like, oh, remorse, not buyer's remorse, basically.
yeah,
The FOMO set in. So, and then we want to see those succeed well enough to buy a bunch of extras because I'm loving that I'm starting to see more and more sets have all these extras. I like going, oh, well, in a few days I might be able to buy it. And then a few days later, it's there.
yeah. Well, it controls the aftermarket too. Like no one's
Yep.
selling Metropolis on Mech Market for $300 the week
Yep.
after it ships because everyone is posting pictures on our mechanical keyboards and on Instagram. They're selling it
When you
for
can,
185 or 200 maybe because you can buy it brand new, unmounted in a sealed package from Novel Keys for 185 right
I
now.
will say it was great. GMK Lime being able to open it up from a package, not having to wait. Didn't spend the money in April because it was one of the 8 sets that ran in April. And I knew a lot of extras were going to be bought because it just didn't do amazing in the initial run. Not having to really wait, it was like, oh, it's there, cool, I'll buy it, and it's probably going to wind up being one of my favorite sets because I think it doesn't have the max key issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm interested to see this. Just kind of put a little light bulb in my brain. Are other vendors going to buy out these sets, or other like Max Key Lime sold on Kono, or not
Yep.
Max Key? Well, Max Key Lime
GMK,
was
well,
GMK
was,
Lime
but
sold on Kono, extras
Novel
on
Keys
Novel
bought them out.
Keys. Maybe other vendors are buying out these sets this month. Who knows? We'll see.
Who knows? So, well, that'll do it. Thank you guys. We put in the Discord yesterday a survey for us. We were kind of looking to adjust, make some pivots. We've been Osiris designed a great new logo that we, I guess, unveiled, and then myself did not use any of those in my stream the other night.
It's okay.
But we're kind of facelift. We didn't want to say a big change, but a little facelift. We have some ideas that we're wanting to roll out next year, so we were just be sure. I'm going to put the link to that Google form down below. If you don't mind checking that out, that would be super appreciative.
Yeah, please fill that out. Again, if you like the video, please like it. If you're new here, please subscribe. If you liked what you heard, come join us on Twitch tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Time. We will be talking with Garrett from Dixie Mech, the owner and operator of Dixie Mech. We're going to be talking about probably a little bit of this, as well as some different things with group buys, dual shot. I'm sure we're gonna touch on dual shot because it's going to be the launch day for that set. yeah, so it'll be a good time. Come hang out with us. Come ask him some questions. Ask him about Alabama. If you want to yell at him about the X key in GMK Burgundy, you can do that. I don't think you should. But yeah.
I guess I don't even know about the X key in GMK Burgundy.
Burgundy round 3, people were upset that he put the Dixie X in the set, which
dude, it's your set. Do whatever you want, man.
Well, yeah. Well, they were upset because it wasn't a set he designed or had any hand in designing. So they were like, "Well, why did you put your key?" And it's like, he's running it. Who cares? It's one key.
It's one key, and you can guess what? You don't have to put it on.
My thought would be hilarious is if for all the people who are saying take it out, what he should do is said, "Okay, well, send me your receipt when you buy it, and I'll open yours up, take it out, and throw it away, and put a random keycap inside." That's what I would do. But no, again, come hang out with us tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central Time. Thank you for stopping by. We appreciate it. Join us on Discord. Chewy.
Where is it? There we go. Buy yourself a new novel key switch tester. Not sponsored by Novel Keys.
Oh, bye, y'all.